Welcome to another episode of the Miles Offside podcast, where we talk a little bit of football and a whole lot of nonsense. My name is Oscar Puente, also known as Footy from Afar, and with me, as always, are my co-hosts, QuizWizard Chuck Bailey, and super producer, that's right, he's back, baby, Ian Stimpson! Stimmers, welcome back, bud. How you doing? How's it feel not playing hooky and skipping this week?
Yeah, no, nice. Thanks for holding the fort. And it annoyed me how well you edited as well, actually. I was hoping it would sound terrible. There was extra reverbs. The jingles were in. It was annoying. It was annoying. But yeah, good to be back.
Yeah, and shout out to me on that echo on the Lukaku thing. I was very proud of myself for doing that little booming announcer type voice. So, you know.
Yeah, you also released it needlessly in stereo. So sorry if anyone couldn't download it because it was so massive. But yeah.
Sorry. Honestly, if that's the biggest mistake I made editing, then I'm pretty happy. I mean, you did give me a cheat sheet which was like, click this button, then click this button, then click this button. I was like, oh, this is pretty idiot-proof. All right, great.
You too can be a sound engineer.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even need to go to college for it. Chuck, how you doing, man? How you doing? You know, we got Ian back. How are you feeling about that?
Are we starting the podcast now? Or are we just doing boring edit chat? Fucking hell, I fell asleep then.
This is my dream, Chuck.
We want to talk about football. So much chaotic football. You can shove your fucking bubbles up your ass. West Ham, you pricks. Top of the league. What? Not anymore. Yeah. Back, baby. What?
Palace scored a goal then.
2 goals! Can we hurry up and do news and everything so we can laugh at Arsenal?
Yeah, absolutely.
Chuck has agendas.
I want business. Let's get down to business.
All right, let's fucking get to it then. If you are joining us for the first time, thank you. We are very happy to have you. Welcome. We are one American and 2 Brits, and we try to talk about the Premier League, but mostly get distracted. And we like to kick things off around these parts with a very, very special segment known as Rapid Fire News. Our top story this evening, Pep Guardiola has said that he will be leaving City in 2023 and having a break. How do you guys feel about that? I should take this time to announce, by the way, that I will be taking a break from the podcast in 2023 as well. Me and Pep are going on a journey together, vacation around the world. So I hope that's okay with you guys.
Romantic,
like some sort of couples retreat.
Yeah, something like that. We're gonna eat, pray, love. We're gonna find ourselves. We're gonna find ourselves and each other.
And a new stat.
Yeah, we're gonna invent some new metric. I don't know. Is Pep into stats? I don't feel like he is. He doesn't give me that vibe.
No, it's more shape, is it?
Yeah, he's a tactics guy.
He sees the world as vibrations and colours and tastes sounds and hears words. What?
Yeah, some people have music synesthesia. He has like football synesthesia.
He can taste football.
He can taste it.
Yeah.
Delicious goals. Yeah, well, I mean, he's never been at a club more than 4 years anyway, and he's going into year 5 now, so he's going to literally get that 7-year itch and fuck off. So fair enough.
He does like a year off too. He took a year off before going to City, after Munich, just like living his life in New York City around and about, eating lots of baked goods.
Do you think 2023 is when UEFA come back in with the FFP stuff, or? I think that's probably what it is.
Oh, that's out the window, man. Once PSG got on the board of directors at UEFA, I'm pretty sure they like appointed the head of PSG as the guy in charge of punishments for money stuff. Chelsea got that message. Look how much we spent in the last 2 summer windows. Like the days of big oil are fucking back, baby. Let's do it.
Were they ever gone? Anyway.
Yeah, oh my God, that's why the Lone Army exists. Are you kidding? We were like cooking the books for a solid decade.
I meant more generally in the world. Have the days of big oil ever been gone?
Oh, no. Those will only end when we're gone as humans. Yeah. But so let's say Pep gets to 2023. He wins another title, like maybe even 2. One title, one of the next 2 titles. And they make a Champions League final, but they don't win. How do you guys feel about his like completed tenure at City at that point?
I don't think he goes if he hasn't won a Champions League, and there is, reason to think that Man City are still, top of their game. I think that's going to be something that would bother him. So I think he stays until they win a Champions League, unless he sees that there's no possibility of it. But I mean, they've been so crushingly dominant for quite a while now. It just, I can't see it changing. So yeah, until they win a Champions League, I don't think he goes.
I just think, because in 2023, he's probably going to have to try and reinvent the wheel again, and he's like, I just don't have it in me. So,
do you reckon?
Yeah, I'll just take a year out then. He's had to adapt. He's changed English football. He's then come in, changed with COVID ball. Then he's got Tuchel, and Klopp's probably not going to fuck off.
What does City do, though? Do they? What does City do? Do they bring in Arteta as caretaker for a year or what?
Oh, Tuchel
Jesus
will be
Christ.
fired by Chelsea by then. You know, we only go 18 months with any manager, so this is Tuchel's last season, so he'll definitely be free and available.
And the only caretaking Arteta's doing at City is like literally groundsman, so it's just not
the
happening.
lines on the pitch, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Where do you guys have Pep at, like, all-time Premier League managers rank? Is he second behind Sir Alex? Is he third? Like, where would you guys put him? I mean, to me, obviously, Sir Alex is number one. I guess probably people would say Wenger or Mourinho would be number two, just given, like, their tenures. But, like, what's Pep's sort of legacy, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, he's quite good, isn't he? 4.
Fourth. Okay,
4.
great.
You mentioned 3 managers, Chuck just puts him underneath them.
Yeah.
It's tricky, though, isn't it? Because of the situation he's in. I mean, you with so much resources at your disposal. I know it's sort of churlish to say, but I think most managers would make a stab of it at Man City, wouldn't they? I don't know. It's hard to judge him against Alex Ferguson as well, because like Chuck said, Pep has his sort of 4 or 5 year runs or whatever he does, and then takes a break. Alex Ferguson reinvented that team 3 or 4 times. You know, it was sort of such a big deal. So I don't know. It's so hard to compare them. It really is.
Well, speaking of tricky comparisons and limitless resources, that's actually a great transition to our next story. Due to the latest UEFA coefficient rankings, Infinite Money Ligue 1, or Ligue 1, is no longer considered a top 5 league. It's dropped to 6th place in the league rankings, behind the Portuguese league. So we have the Premier League at the top, then La Liga, for now. Serie A, Bundesliga at 4th, which is pretty insane, if you ask me, according to the UEFA coefficients, but whatever. And then now Portugal. So shout out France, man.
Yep, great. Is that it? Can we move on? Don't care?
Yeah, I mean, are we going to see a mass exodus of all players from France to La Liga now, since La Liga is number 2?
Don't care. Like, literally, Messi goes to PSG, blah, blah, blah. Don't care. Irrelevance. Boring league. Don't care about PSG.
As reticent as I am to support chucking is just meh, move on. But like, I have no interest in Messi in League 1, the 6th best league in the world. Probably not. I mean, the Championship's probably above it. But although anyone who watched Peterborough West Brom will not say that. Jesus Christ. So yeah. Anyway, I genuinely don't have much interest. I'm with the complete unromantic crowd. Don't care about Messi and PSG. No.
Man, bunch of heathens. We are blessed to live in the age of Messi. And
Absolutely.
You're like, I don't need to see him. Who cares? It's only the greatest soccer player of all time.
Yeah,
Can't believe it.
But playing in that league, it's just
Doesn't matter. It's Lionel fucking Messi. If you get a chance to watch him in an exhibition match, you watch him. I would.
Nah.
How many more years of Messi do we have left? It can't be that many.
I'll watch it on my deathbed. It'll be on YouTube, won't it?
Okay, there you go. Speaking of the French league, this touches on something that happened basically as we were recording last week, so it just came out. But there has been a follow-up to it. Authorities have ordered a 4-match stand closure and arrested a man after the ugly scenes that in Nice's Ligue 1 game with Marseille that caused the game to be abandoned. I don't know if either of you missed this. I'm sure you didn't, but there was fans throwing bottles, and then Dimitri Payet threw a bottle back into the crowd, and there was a tiny riot.
Shit got real.
Yeah, shit got real scary real fast.
Assistant manager came out punching fans. Yeah. Sampaoli was trying to kick off and fight. Nice refused to come out again, and they got a 3-0 loss because a load of fans started to riot against them. So that's good times. Bunch of pricks. But yeah, that was interesting. Literally happened as we were recording last week. Typical.
Yeah, and some Marseille players were actually injured, according to the BBC.
Fuck, really?
Yeah, so that's like really scary. Like once a mob gets going, anything can fucking happen. I'm thinking, and it reminded me of, I don't know if you guys saw the documentary about this in basketball in the early 2000s in Detroit. There was a brawl that like went into the stands and started involving fans because someone threw a beer at a player, and then it was a whole thing. And there's a really good documentary on Netflix about it, so check it out.
Yeah, I only heard about that about 2 weeks ago before this happened, because I think that's when it came out on Netflix, and then just coincidentally at the same time we get one in football.
Yeah, I wonder if the players had watched the documentary and it was like in the back of their minds, they didn't even realize, like subconsciously, they were like, You know what? I am going in the crowd and fucking these people up. Like, fuck those guys.
Such a thin line between, society and just absolute chaos, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, the last 2 years have shown that to be very much the case. Oh, man. Let's keep going then. The Premier League says that its clubs have reluctantly but unanimously decided not to release players for matches in red list countries during September's international break. Yeah. Under current UK government rules, players would be forced to miss several games because of the 10-day isolation period required on return to the UK, including the first round of Champions League fixtures for the Champions League clubs. And obviously 1 to 2 Premier League games, depending on what day they get back. I think South American people would be missing 2 Premier League games and potentially a midweek Champions League fixture. Since then, there have been some developments of players that just fucking decided to go anyway. So it'll be very interesting to see what the clubs do with that. I think Richarlison was one that he just fucked off to Brazil and was like, I'm going. You guys can't stop me.
Oh, well, it's not like Richarlison to throw all of his toys out the pram, is it?
No, they probably don't care after he tried to take the penalty this week. But
for the record, I'm bad at names, so it probably wasn't Richarlison, because you know that I never know.
No, it probably was. Probably was.
You said Brazil, it probably is.
Aston Villa had Buendia and Martinez go, but the main problem with South America and the reason the clubs kicked off was because the Federation just shoehorned in a third game. In case, so they wouldn't just be playing 2 games, which would mean that the players are playing effectively at 2 a.m. Friday morning UK to then come back and play on Saturday, but can't because it's red list country, so that's when they'd miss 2 fixtures. So Aston Villa have already resigned themselves to losing them against Chelsea.
Yeah, Lukaku against Aston Villa without Martinez. Just oh wow. Okay.
Or Buendia, just no ball retention.
Yeah, true, yeah.
I don't mind that, but I also don't want Chelsea to be missing players for our first Champions League. We should then move on to some much less entertaining news, but stuff that should be talked about and covered. Nonetheless, we'll start off with the Benjamin Mendy story, if anybody missed this. Manchester City footballer Benjamin Mendy has been charged with rape. The 27-year-old defender was charged with 4 counts of rape and 1 count of sexual assault. The charges relate to 3 complaints over the age of 16 and are alleged to have taken place between October 2020 and August this year. Obviously, that's fucking horrifying and terrible, and fuck that guy. But also, City knew about it as of as early as last November, and we're still playing him for 9 months.
I'd kind of forgotten about this, but this was when they came out with a similar thing that they did when they said about the thing with an Everton player getting suspended, a player who lives in this area and plays in this city and blah, 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 blah. Do you remember when it came out and people were saying it was Mason Greenwood and all of those things?
No, I don't remember that at all.
9 months ago. I saw a few bits, but that was apparently Mendy then. And so the big thing that's come out now is that City knew about it for all this time. He's still been playing. He's still been out. And obviously that happened back then 9 months ago. And the latest incident is this week or a couple of weeks ago, which has led to the arrest. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to know what to say in this situation. Obviously, the prosecutions are ongoing, but there's clearly serious merit behind it. And to me, it's quite frankly disgusting if City have tried to do whatever they can to hide this and blow over it. Obviously this is the treatment that's happened. And at the same time, you've got all this stuff about Cristiano Ronaldo and his similar situation, which there are statements that were in Der Spiegel where he admitted that the lady had said no.
And please stop.
That's kind of whitewashed over because it's fine because he scores a lot of goals and makes a lot of money. And potentially because he's not black. Who knows why, if that's the reasons or not. But
fucking Juve had to change their summer tour plans or cancel their summer tour plans a few years ago because Ronaldo can't set foot in the US without getting taken in for questioning. He's not going to be arrested yet, but he's going to be taken in for questioning regarding that rape case. So he can't set foot in the US without getting detained. So Juventus, instead of I don't know, I don't even know what they could have done there, but they were oh, let's change our summer plans and continue to defend this player and be hey, he's innocent, he's a good guy, blah, blah, blah. Fuck all of that, and fuck Man United, and fuck, whatever. But sorry, Chuck, I cut you off there. What were you saying?
No, that's absolutely, you keep going, mate. It's just the toxicity and the feeling of need to close ranks. There is no closing ranks around this situation. There is no devil's advocate in this situation. These are charges that have been put forward, and we fully support those victims and applaud them as well for coming forward, and would like it to be known that we fully support anyone in those situations. And if there ever is a need for us to talk, or so you need someone to talk to, our DMs are open. We're always here for you.
Yeah, very much. And honestly, I took the Ronaldo transfer story out of the rundown because fuck that guy. I don't want to give him coverage. I don't want to talk about him. He will inevitably come up when he does a 95th minute goal that wins over some team or whatever. But for the most part, I don't really want to have takes on him. And fuck him. And fuck United for bringing him in. Full stop.
And fuck the discourse of off the pitch, he's such an example. And some of it's been grim. Solskjaer saying what a great human he is, and Gary Neville saying what a great example he is off the pitch. No one expect, he played with him, he's friends with him. No one expects him to maybe throw him under the bus, although maybe he should. But it's just painful to hear, isn't it? It's just no, really.
And the thing for me too has been the mainstream media coverage. Fine, I know that there's very specific and more tricky laws around what you put in print and what you say about people regarding sort of legal cases. What's the word that I'm trying to think of? Libel.
Yeah.
Yeah. In England, the rules are a little different, I think, but fucking mention it that he's being investigated or that there is this thing. It's not even, that should first of all be the first thing you say is hey, this guy has this thing going on, but fine, let's get out of the way and then we can talk about soccer if we want to talk about the soccer of it. But nowhere has any major media outlet done anything about putting that in their stories or saying anything about it. It's just I feel there's a lot of people that don't even know that it's a thing.
Yeah,
and that's crazy. But yeah, like Chuck said, believe victims. We're here. If people need to talk to us, I don't know why you would want to talk to us about anything, but we are always here. And I'm going to do as much as possible to not talk about that fucking guy. But I do, however, want to talk a whole lot about Manchester City 5, Arsenal 0, Manchester City 3.8 to Arsenal's 0.1. Gentlemen, are Arsenal the worst team in the history of the Premier League? Take it away, Chuck.
Are you the 21st century derby? I'd like to preface this by saying I have messaged Adam and just warned him and said, it's almost at the point where I really do feel sorry for him, because it's just fucking horrible. So bad. You can blame injuries, or Arteta can say he doesn't want to blame injuries, and then you get these players back, and then you don't.
Oh no, it was the referee in this week. It was a referee,
in this week.
Yeah,
because
all
the referee has the influence on 5 goals.
All 5.
In fairness, that dude did get punched in the face in the build-up to that goal.
Okay, no, that's fine, Oscar. Chalk one of them off. 4-0.
Yeah. No, I
Still getting
I'm
relegated.
Just saying, in fairness to that complaint, that was straight up, the dude got punched in the face, and then VAR looked at it and was like, nah, it's Arsenal, it's fine, don't worry about it.
He deserved it.
Instant relegation.
I was trying to the Match of the Day challenge this weekend because I was out at these concerts with my family and stuff. And I was queuing for a beer, and it was at about, it must have been about 1:30 on Saturday. And there were guys talking to me about football, and I tried not to hear. And then when I heard 4-0, I went, well, fuck it, I'm just going to have a look and see what's going on. As I looked, it went to 5-0. And I saw Granit Xhaka had been sent off.
Oh my God.
City were on 81% possession, and Arsenal had one shot off target. And the collapse is fucking real, guys. This is awful. Everything at every level of this club seems to be coming to a head at the minute. I will still stand by what I said, that I feel that they've thrown Arteta in there as a dumpster fire to try and be a distraction. But now,
how many years can they just let this guy hang dry?
It's gone from a dumpster fire to the house is on fire. Now the garage is on fire and the grounds are going as well.
The fire truck is on fire at this point.
The fire truck, the fire extinguisher is on fire as well. We're all fucked. And they've got because all the transfer sagas going on at the minute, and we'll disclose now, like, we're recording on Monday night. We're not going to cover any transfer stuff because the window closes tomorrow, so we'll look at that next week. But there's players where, like, I know Palace are like bidding on Eddie Nketiah, who is currently injured and about to go into the last year of his contract. And so Arsenal are demanding like 20 million quid. And we're like, no, we're not paying that. It's 10. They go, okay, he's not going anywhere. Like, you've got all these players. Ainsley Maitland-Niles has just come out on his Twitter and said, I just want to go somewhere where they want to play me and I can play football, because they blocked Everton's loan proposal for him, because he, and he just wants to play. And you've got all these players that are coming through that are just being failed by this system of just not playing their best players or overpaying on players that they shouldn't buy, like Ben White.
Do you see that Willian is walking away with a 70% pay cut, canceled his contract? He ripped it up. Like, he passed up on like £20 million to just fucking leave. Just like, I can't fucking be here anymore.
Even he's like, you know what, like, I'm done. But I mean, it's at least he's consistent with his performance on the pitch. He isn't trying to be a snake. He's just like he clearly doesn't want to be there. So he's like, you know what, guys, we're cool. I'm just let's just get rid of these 2 years. You don't need to pay me any settlement. I'm going to go back to Brazil. I'm going to join Corinthians. Like, we cool. We out. You need to sort your own shit out right now. My work here is done.
I love that. Just goes in. You've got a lot going on right now. You don't need me. I'm just going to... You won't even hear me go. Yeah. See you later. See you later.
Don't worry. I'll pack up my desk. I'll turn off the lights on the way out. Yeah, it's bad times. Bad times. Oscar, you've probably prepared some stats as well, I'm guessing.
I do have some numbers ready to go. Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. But just to be nice for a little bit, because I too am getting a little bit worried about our good friend Adam's mental health.
We should say, this crisis. So if we've got any new listeners, Adam is a listener who's been with us since the start. He's at 35who on Twitter, and God love him, he's an intelligent
He's one of the
Arsenal
most
fan.
Intelligent, quick-witted, lovely people you will ever
Very
meet
handsome
or
as
talk
well,
to.
ladies. If you're in the
Good-looking
market,
young guy
in London, beautiful young man.
He's been a guest on this podcast. He is an absolutely wonderful bloke, but fuck, is he going through the ringer at the minute?
He really is.
So speaking of being nice, right? That's what I was kind of driving towards.
Yeah.
Do we not give them any sort of a break in our mental accounting of their current level of play because they've played the two best teams in the world, two of the three best teams in the world, back to back? Like, how much slack do you cut Arteta and Arsenal there? Fuck the injuries, and he's a terrible coach, and they're still just like, they look absolutely trash when they're playing. But shouldn't we give him a little bit of a break for that? Like, Chelsea and City are the two best teams in the world, in my opinion. Definitely two of the three best, according to basically everybody. I don't think that's even controversial at this point. So, like, that's going to skew the numbers. That's going to skew the performances. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, do we cut him any slack there?
Yeah, I do know what you're saying, but there's been 3 matches, and one of them was against a newly promoted team, and I genuinely can't think of one positive across 270 minutes of football. I can't think of one positive, be it a player who's, at least acquitted themselves well, that there was some sort of tactical thing I saw that offered me any hope whatsoever, that there was some sort of adaptability, ability to roll with a punch. I haven't seen any positive whatsoever. So it's very hard to say, oh, well, it's just because it was Chelsea, it's just because it was Man City. There was not a single positive. There are clubs. Norwich acquit themselves better against Man City than Arsenal did.
That is true. Fair.
Yeah, I think
that's
so.
Like a very fair point.
I mean, I think if Arteta had just come in and we hadn't seen the last year and a bit of him, I still stand by. Like, I don't think it's fair to him. I don't. Well, obviously he's a grown fucking adult, so he can make his own decisions. But and it's difficult to turn down that job. But I don't think he should have taken it first place. Like, I think you're set up to fail. Quite frankly, because of what's gone on in Arsenal previously, and they've, since Wenger, they've not been able to recover from that because of just the way the club's been structured and it being about money, or Kroenke kind of draining the club in that way. I am conscious of that, but also when the performances just aren't there, like they were 8th last season and 8th unexpected.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
no, I think he's a bad manager. I have been saying that for like 2 or 3, like for seasons now.
the man management side of it that's coming out now, if players are feeling ostracised, young players that he's meant to be bringing through and supporting, that's what Arsenal needs. Arsenal needs a rebuild. They need faith in the players they have and that's coming through and structured. So it's just baffling at the minute. And if I was... I think if this situation exactly was it was happening at my club, I'd be absolutely fucking livid. And that's without having a more successful recent frame of reference, if you see what I mean. Yeah.
You don't think of yourselves as a big club. And I still see some Arsenal fans, man. No, I'm not even... You know what? Arsenal fans on Twitter, I'm not wasting my breath on them. They're fucking crazy. But they're still talking about how they're like one of the best teams in the world. And I'm like, get out of here. Because let me read their stats to you. This is a good place to bring those in. 0 goals scored. They're one of 2 teams in the league that have scored 0 goals so far. That's even less than Norwich. And less than Palace as of this weekend. 9 goals conceded, which is the second most. Norwich have conceded 10. On expected, they have the second worst expected goals. I won't say who's in last place, Chuck, but 1.9 expected goals. Expected goals allowed, they are the worst with 8.0 expected goals allowed compared to 7 for Newcastle. All of this take with a big grain of salt because of the sample size, obviously. And for expected goal difference per 90, they are at a -2. The next worst team is Newcastle at -1.1. They are -2 expected goals per 90. Like, fucking terrible.
Yeah. Wowzers. Do you think, is that enough?
Yeah, I think that's enough, yeah. Any word on City here?
Is it enough, though? It's their worst start in, 67 years? 538 has currently got them 7% to be relegated and 8% to make the Champions League. So they've got a slightly better chance of making the top 4 than they have been fucking relegated.
20-1 for relegation as we speak. 20-1.
Oh, we'll see you at the Western Home Stadium next year. Come on.
Can they get relegated
twice, mate?
Ian, or,
Fuck off, the Perrier. Fuck off.
Oscar.
Chuck, did you make the same joke as me at the same time? Is that what just happened?
Same joke, same time. Yeah.
Perfect. Love it. Love.
Although, technically, after losing 5-0, Arsenal are relegated.
That's true. So
instantly, yeah.
If it's 5, Arteta actually has to write a letter to Pep's mum and apologise for wasting her son's time.
No love for City. Last week we were like, they beat a team that they should beat. Whatever, let's move on. So are we going to do the same thing here again?
Yeah, they beat a team that they should beat. Let's move on.
Okay, perfect. Let's move on then to West Ham 2, Crystal Palace 2. Hey-o. West Ham 1.2 to Palace's 0.7. Chuck, that's not even particularly a Burnleying. It's a 1-1 scoreline on XG and a 2-2 scoreline in real life. How you feeling, man? 2 fucking goals for Palace.
Good. Very, very good. An incredibly unexpected point. West Ham have been rampant recently. Watching the highlights, especially the first half, we would never really got into it. Antonio played some really intelligent play, good hold up to put in 4 nails for the first. But then obviously whatever Vieira said at halftime worked because he came out with a lot more fight, a lot more power, a lot more aggression. Men getting into the box, both goals. Gallagher took them obviously really, really well, but both times we had like 5+ people in the box from open play. Like, that's mad. That's something that I haven't seen in God knows how long. Even just having 2 players in the box. So, yeah, I was really, really happy with that. Especially so Antonio's second goal, he took really well. Or sorry, West Ham's second goal that was blah, 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 blah. But I think Anderson probably should have done better there, got muscled off the ball, and that's kind of the first mistake I've seen between him and Gurhey, which after 3 games is pretty good, and Antonio's in incredible form, and so I can't be too beat up about that. But the chop that Gallagher did to shift what side the ball was on before he buried it in that space was incredible.
As well, because he went for the side of goal that looked like it was harder.
Yeah,
like he went for
really
the near post, and the goalie probably more should have had it covered there. But he got it pinpoint after doing, as you say, that little turn. It was just really nice.
Clinton Morrison said he sent Craig Dawson so far the wrong way he had to buy a ticket to get back in, and I think it's true he did him. So that was incredible, and it's goals. It's what I wanted to see from Palace, and we came close at the end as well to winning it. West Ham have been fantastic this year. I'd absolutely bitten your hand off for a point there. So that's fantastic and a good positive before the international break as well. Don't know what's happening with transfer deadline day as we talk. But it could
you
be some
guys have done the
positives
business though. Like, do you even need to make any more signings? You've done so much business this summer.
So let's see. We announced Will Hughes from Watford just before the West Ham game. So that's good for centre mid. And now it's kind of looking like striker, potentially Odsonne Edouard from Celtic, unless that all collapses. Like we said before, we were in for Nketiah, but we don't think that's going to happen. Reece Nelson seems to have gone on loan to Feyenoord.
Is that a depth signing? Would that striker be a depth signing, or is that like to replace Benteke in the lineup?
Depth and competition, I would say. And age. Mateta is on loan until the end of the year. We have an obligation to buy if he starts 10 league games. It doesn't look like they're going to let him make those starts because it doesn't look like they want to sign him. I just think the way he plays isn't really set for how Vieira wants to be. Edouard is like 23. I think he's 24 in January. Been playing for Celtic for like 4 or 5 years. Averages a goal every 2 games. So
that's not bad.
That could be good. Obviously, pinch of salt because that could have all not happened by the time this comes out. But that's the kind of thing we're looking for now. We've reinforced with young players everywhere. I don't think we've signed a player that was over 25 apart from the third string goalkeeper now, Remy Matthews. Michael Elise will be back after the international break, I think, or at least fully in training. So that kind of gives us another winger option. And yeah, it's just good times. It's really good times there. I'm very happy with how things are going. And, Vieira getting goals and a couple of points now keeps the media off the back again.
Yeah. And a point against West Ham is no joke, man. West Ham are a good team. West Ham might be the fifth best team in the league. I don't know.
Ooh,
that's a good question.
This is a huge U-turn from what you were saying last year, Oscar.
Yeah, because they look fundamentally different, and their numbers are pretty decent. So yes, it is a huge turn from last season.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure give you a chance to say why.
You are correct. Yes, they are a team worth knowing, even though they start with a W this year. I'll say that.
They're improving really well. Like they've signed Zuma. That's all announced, so that fills a bit of a problem for them at centre-back. Mm-hmm. I don't know a lot about them, but Nikola Vlasic comes very highly recommended. I think they've signed him as well. And they're probably getting Lingard in now. Don't know what's going to happen, obviously.
With confusing at the minute.
What's going on with United. Yeah. Daniel James, as we record, is going to Leeds for 30 million.
Although that might get hijacked, right? I heard that might get hijacked by someone else.
By Everton,
apparently. But they'll all know this by the time we're done.
That's true, yes. That's not interesting to the listeners.
All you have to do is just send the right tweet at the right time. That goes viral and you're in every fan's fucking head. I've been on strings for about a month. I can't wait for tomorrow to be over so I can just leave my phone alone.
Well, it doesn't matter. All you need is the Cockney Campbell, Conor Gallagher. He's one of the Chelsea army, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, yeah. Oh, you guys do so well with former Chelsea midfielders, or I guess on loan Chelsea midfielders.
Partially, yeah. We've had a mixed history. We've had a Chelsea loanee every season since we've been up, I think. They didn't start so well.
So does everyone else in the league, Chuck. That's nothing to brag about.
No, it's true. And they always seem to wear number 8 as well. So we had Loic Remy, he was injured. Bamford, he was not good. Loftus-Cheek did well, but then got injured. Batshuayi was good the first time, not the second time. And Conor Gallagher seems to have started off really well now as well. So
yeah, you got to stop signing Chelsea strikers because our strikers are never good.
I know. Tammy Abraham's done pretty well in Rome. Tammy Abraham's got like a goal and 2 assists already. So
I know that. And did you see that goal? It was fucking gorgeous. Oh my God, Mourinho's having the time of his life over there. Beautiful, free-flowing attacking football, just like Mourinho's known for. Yeah.
Anyway.
Are there? Do I need to bring up any of the other 10 a.m. matches here? We had Brighton, Everton, or Newcastle, Southampton, and Norwich, Leicester. I didn't watch any of those, obviously, because none of those are teams that I have interest in particularly.
Brighton losing is good.
Sure, always.
We touched on it earlier with Richarlison, but the drama around the penalty was a bit...
What was going on there?
Talk to me. I don't know what you're talking about. Tell me about the drama around the penalty.
So it's second half, isn't it? And then Everton already won up. Damari Gray scored a really lovely goal, who he's proven to be a great bit of business after going from Leicester to Leverkusen and then back into the league. Fantastic. He's taken a couple of goals really well now, but I digress. Everton are playing the ball up, attacking. Defender puts a pass through as Coleman runs horizontal into the box, and Coleman gets fouled by insert Brighton player here. For the penalty. It's a penalty, absolutely fine.
I know it was Veltman because he's been in my fantasy football team doing fuck all. He comes on and 2 minutes later does that.
Well, there you go. I've told you a million times, but you won't listen.
Yeah, I know.
So anyway, they're going to take the penalty, and Richarlison picks up the ball and won't give it to Calvert-Lewin. To the point where Calvert-Lewin then stands back. Coleman, who is the captain, goes over telling him it's not going to happen. And Andros Townsend goes up and punches the ball out of his hands to give to Calvert-Lewin.
It's so childish.
Richarlison's face is just like thunder. And even then when Calvert-Lewin scores, Richarlison runs with the celebration, but he's just arms down, jogging, face like a horse has just done a shit on his foot, and so mad.
It was insane.
It really was.
I didn't understand it.
I mean, there's all the talk of PSG maybe coming in for him and to replace Mbappe.
Classic, obviously. Mbappe, Richarlison, same breath all the time.
But we don't know, if he is actually pissed off about the Brazil thing, because he started to feature more and more for Brazil now. And obviously international football is huge, but especially in Brazil.
Yeah.
For those players, it really means a lot for them. So we don't know how that's affected him. But Rafa put an interesting spin on it. He's well, no, it's good that we want to see the players competitive. And yeah, you want to be competitive, mate, not fighting amongst themselves.
Yeah. That was just him putting a public face on it. He would have had him surely in the dressing room because that situation was ridiculous. I mean, if you've got a designated penalty taker, when does anyone else take penalty? When maybe they've won the penalty themselves 6 yards in front of goal.
Injured.
And perhaps if they're on a hat-trick maybe and you're 2-0, 3-0 up.
And it is completely the designated penalty taker's decision to make there.
100%.
Absolutely. Yeah. If he wants to give it to you for building your confidence or scoring a hat-trick, but no, in that situation, the game's still in the balance.
Absolutely.
You're not home and dry yet. I'm the one who's scoring all the goals. I want my 30 grand goal bonus. Fuck off.
Yeah. I haven't got Calvert-Lewin in my fantasy football team, but I was very happy to see that penalty go in because I thought you're being a total prick there. And I was like, please don't miss it. Please don't fucking miss it. Not that it would have mattered because he hadn't done anything wrong, but yeah, I was really pulling for DCL to bang that one in. So yeah. And obviously I also, by osmosis, hate Brighton.
Thanks, mate.
No worries.
I pity them for being such underperformers, but I don't like them, so, Not that I would have a strong opinion on any team below 10th in general anyway, other than Palace.
It's just
we love
beneath
Palace.
you, isn't it? Beneath you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm an American, and I'm from New York City, so we're, very cocky.
Yeah.
So it's not even, the lower divisions. I'm just getting closer and closer to, below 6th place. I don't care about the teams.
Jesus Christ.
It's a good thing I have a podcast. So let's move on to the biggest game of the weekend, the first real title, 6-pointer, whatever, of the year. We had Liverpool 1, Chelsea 1. Liverpool, Mr. Simpson, I think you need to cue the jingle.
Oh, they're better than they ought to be.
Burnley of the week.
That's right. Turns out Chelsea are the Burnley of the week because the XG scoreline was 2.7 to 0.8. So, triple our XG.
No, I'm not having that. That's a Watfording if ever I saw one.
Okay, all right, a bit of both. Yeah, I mean, I guess we did do 0.8 and put up 1.
No, because Chelsea performed to their numbers. Chelsea performed to their numbers. Liverpool did not. I mean,
last time you called for this, I had to do the Burnley jingle in reverse. I'm not doing that again.
That is, I think, Emily's favorite moment ever in the history of the podcast, by the way. She still brings up that time you played the Burnley jingle backwards. It was
says a lot.
The best thing ever. I mean, talk to me, guys. You know, I always go, you let me go last after Chelsea. I always throw it to you guys first. to get the sort of unbiased opinion, unbiased take. Obviously, the red card, the big story here, Reese's handball, denial of goal scoring opportunity. What did you think of the red card? What did you think of the two performances? What did you think of the result? What are any of your takes on this situation?
So it's a red card and a penalty. That's just it.
Fair enough. Rules are
deal
rules.
With it. Not you. I don't mean you deal with it. I know you've almost certainly come to terms with it because you're a rational human being. I just think, as in that situation, you move on. You've put your hand out there.
Can you have a quick word with Chelsea Twitter, though?
Oh, God. Don't get me started on Chelsea Twitter. It was a terrible week.
I challenge that by saying every club, it's terrible on Twitter every week. I think just Twitter's
Fair.
terrible.
Yes, Twitter is just a terrible place. I hate it. I hate it so much.
But yeah, it's a handball. Like, it took Anthony Taylor a second. He just looked over, saw an image, and went, oh, okay, red card. And you can't argue with that. And then, obviously, it does change the game a bit, and you don't necessarily get an insight there. However, it then leads to Chelsea defending for their lives and doing very, very well, showing how well-organised, well-drilled they are. And you get a point from that situation. That's great. You know, on balance of play, of what actually happens in the world of variance and actuality and real life, you take that in that situation. You take any points you can get when you go down to 10 men. It's Chelsea didn't concede points to a title rival. It's my honest take. Like, I'm sure you would have much preferred it to be 3 points, as I'm sure Liverpool fans would. But I'd say Chelsea got the better result there than Liverpool did.
Fair enough. What about you, Mr. Simpson? What are your thoughts on Liverpool 1, Chelsea 1, 2.7 to 0.8 on XG?
Yeah, I thought it was a shame that the incident happened, which sort of destroyed the second half as a spectacle. Really, apart from the fact that it was quite amusing to see Liverpool still not be able to penetrate your box at all, really. Chelsea kept them into grow up.
I was giggling too, Chuck. Thank you.
Grow up.
Thank you for that. Oh, man. Like a bachelor party at a nun convent. Having a lot of trouble penetrating the box there.
So what I mean is that they were... surprisingly, I thought, kept to long-range efforts all the time. It was a weird one. I think, what positives are there for Liverpool? Van Dijk did pretty well against Lukaku. There was a couple of times when he got turned, but generally he did pretty well, which is certainly not what... obviously, I didn't get to have a go at Arsenal about the Chelsea result with them last week. But, I mean, their centre-back, what's his name?
Mari,
thanks, yeah. Oh, my goodness. I mean, yeah, just put him up against Van Dijk and just look at the ways Lukaku was dealt with. And I'm not saying, like, Van Dijk took him out of the game, because that's not the case, and obviously Chelsea were down to 10 men, but he just dealt with him a lot better, and it wasn't just the Lukaku show, Positives for Liverpool were Harvey Elliott. Is that his name?
That's a name.
It's a name, isn't it?
That's a name.
Yeah, that'll do. Yeah, he was very good. He's been good a couple of times now. So I mean, that's a positive for him. But I think they should have done more to get into decent positions in front of goal, and they struggled quite a lot. And Chelsea was so defensively good. It's what Tuchel sorted out first and foremost, wasn't it? And it's just remained. It's going to be very, very hard to break Chelsea down, and that was what I got from it, which is what we already knew, really. But when it's a team like Liverpool, who I think we're up possibly in for an exciting title race, because I expected Man City to get Kane or get Messi or get Ronaldo, and that hasn't happened. And while I think Ferran Torres is very good and might be leaned on much more this season, I think we're in for quite a good title race here. I think if Liverpool can close out the matches they're supposed to close out against lower opposition, then I think they'll be all right. I think obviously Chelsea, if you don't concede goals, you don't lose games. Yeah, it could be really interesting. I think Chelsea did incredibly well. It's a shame that I think the one thing. Sorry, I'm rambling more than I usually do, but
this is great. I love
let's hear it.
I love it. Yeah,
I think the one thing that was not great about Chelsea was, and I don't want to sound like Ted Lasso. I do want to sound like Ted Lasso, but it was the lack of the extra ball. There was always a pass that should have happened that didn't. I think there was maybe 4 or 5 times I saw when there was either a bad decision was made, be it a shot or whatever, and it wasn't Brighton levels of bad decision making, but yeah, there was some slightly iffy ones.
Yeah, I think that's all very reasonable. I think I'm mostly with you guys in that this says, to me at least, this result says more about Liverpool than it does about Chelsea. You talk about like results that they should get against 10 men, and even against Chelsea, but 10 men at home for an entire half, and like they got 6 touches in our penalty area in the second half. Like if you look at the heat map, it's everything but the penalty area.
Yeah.
And like Liverpool if you're the 5th best team in the world, you should be able to break a team down that has 10 men, even if they're defending with all 10 men. You know, everybody talked shit about us when we beat Barcelona and Barcelona down to 10 men, being like, oh, you got so lucky, you got so blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, that's fair. Barcelona should have been able to beat us down. And this was similar. Like Liverpool should be able to cut through that. And I do wonder to what extent the Firmino injury in the first half played a factor here. Because Firmino starting to me was a clear indication of they were expecting to have to pass their way through, as opposed to thinking that like there would be much space in behind Chelsea. Chelsea are generally pretty good at stopping that. So like that's why you would play Firmino over a Jota.
Yeah, Firmino always plays against like the top 6 though. It seems to be
That's
a thing.
True. That's also true. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be a thing Klopp has of just if he's playing like those direct rivals, Jota seems to be on the bench, Firmino seems to play, you know.
Yeah, you go with what you know too. Like that front three did so much for them for so many years, so like that makes sense to me. But yeah, I don't know. That's not good looks for Liverpool. Like, and yes, they generated 2.7, but like again, at the end of the day, like I was saying with Chelsea, like fuck performances, fuck results. Like I want the points. And if I was a Liverpool fan looking at that and they didn't get those points, I'd be so angry. I'm actually angry, to switch over to the Chelsea side of it, that we didn't get the points. Independent of the red card, talk about the red card. It was a handball. It's a bit harsh, but like once that is a handball, then it has to be a red and a penalty. That's just the rules. No point complaining about referee shit. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. It sucks. I think we were decidedly the better team in the first half. I think we are, pretty clearly after this match, a better team than Liverpool, full stop. I already thought that, but this was not like anything that dissuaded me from that opinion. But I'm pissed. I'm mostly pissed. I wanted 3 points, and fuck going down to 10 men, and fuck being at Anfield, and fuck all that stuff. Like, I said to you guys, I want wins, I want points. We're better than them. And the red card, like, that was a bonehead move. He moved his hand towards the ball. Like, it's harsh. Maybe.
Yeah, it was instinctual. I mean, I'm fully... Yeah, it was a red. It was a penalty, because there's no other thing you can do in that situation. You know, it's... And the idea that... Because... I think it also exposes how much normal football fans don't know the rules, because as you said, Chuck, Anthony Taylor went over, immediately saw it, you know, red card, penalty, and fans were sort of on Twitter definitely immediately up in arms, and then about 10 minutes later when the rules had been dug up, everyone went, oh, yeah, no, it is right, yeah. And it just goes to show, you know.
Freely available as well. We've had this before in the past. Freely available. Go on the FA website. You can download the laws of the game as a PDF on your phone and have them all there. Clears up all these issues that you can, that rather than just spewing bile on the internet, maybe just look up the information and then just have a go. You know what I mean? I thought they got rid of double jeopardy. Yeah, read the law.
That was the thing. That was what everyone was saying. It was like, no, is it handball? He's got
because it's not dogso. It's not. You know, Oscar, you said before dogso. Like it's not a goal scoring opportunity. They denied a goal. That's simply put. If the ball was going,
like the ball was going over the line.
It's it's. I bet Ireland fans probably wish Thierry Henry had the same done to him. The bastard. He's never allowed in Dublin. But
I was admittedly one of those people online spending 10 minutes being like, "What are the rules? I don't understand. Shouldn't this not be a red card? I'm really angry. I think." And like Googling the rules and then like asking everybody, like, "Can you explain to me?" Like, not sarcastically, "Can you explain to me why is that a red card? I don't understand." Like.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the end of the day, like I'm not gonna sit here and whine about a red card. I think Chelsea played well, but like fuck that, because I already know they're a good team and one of the best teams in the world. I just wanted the win. But it is pretty nice to go to Anfield, 10 men, keep them to a draw, I guess. Pissing off Liverpool fans is always a nice thing. But that's pretty much the summary of my take on that.
Yeah, it's bittersweet. I can understand why you would have wanted more for the game beforehand, definitely. But, you have to take points when you get it. Liverpool, obviously, just to kind of finalise and a touch on them, with the Firmino injury, if it's anything long-term, there are concerns about their strength in depth up front. They've managed to tie up a lot of existing players onto new contracts. I think Trent, Robbo, Alisson, Van Dijk, I think Jordan Henderson's in a lot throughout the spine. But they've also apparently their director of football has just quit, which on the day before transfer deadline day is quite worrying for them because he's obviously been quite a good operator and helped to build that team that they currently have. So I have much bigger picture takes about Liverpool and their transfer strategy and their current situation with their squad and all that I'm saving for next week. But cool. That is very interesting. Very, very interesting stuff. Shall we move on then to Sunday? Newcastle concede a 95th minute penalty and Callum Wilson's injured for at least a month. Oh, actually, go back for a second. Speaking of injuries, the thing I'm most upset about is Conte. He did his ankle. It's the ankle that kept him in and out for an entire fucking season. Everything goes back to Chelsea. I really, really, really hope that's not a long-term thing because that will really fuck our chances of title and best team in the world and all that. So, what?
Just your annoyance, just sort of simmering annoyance. You had to get that out.
I'm really not in a good mood. Let's go to Sunday then. Sorry, Chuck, I don't actually want to talk about Newcastle. No. Just gonna steamroll that. It's good for me because then we play Newcastle soon, I think. So no Callum Wilson is good. Great, there you go. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Sunday then. We had Tottenham 1, Watford 0, 0.9 to 0.6. The only reason I'm bringing this game up is because Kane started. I didn't quite get to watch this one, but I do have his stats. He took one shot and had 2 key passes and 0.1 XG. So not a terrible performance, but not a good one. That's for sure. Yeah, but Kane's going to take, he's going to take time. He's come back, he played a few minutes last week, gets into this one. He's now going to go off back. He's going to play more minutes for England than he's played since leaving the Euros, and he's going to have played for Tottenham, for fuck's sake. So I bet they're probably pissed off at that. He put a pin in the saga, as it were, conceded defeat. And stayed after he realised that he couldn't just leave, and is now asking for a pay rise or something. I think, because that's how loyalty bonuses work, mate. But luckily, Son's there just to keep picking it up. I mean, Spurs 3 games, 3 wins, 3 clean sheets. Nuno doing what Jose couldn't, and I'm quite glad that my prediction of last week that not thinking Spurs are going to go crazy, aren't going to score high and get rid of Son from my fantasy football team worked really well. So yeah, I think Nuno's doing quite a good thing building solidity there when none of us would have expected that. You would never predict Tottenham being top of the league. 3 wins. Yeah, shout out Tottenham, top of the league. Arsenal, bottom of the league. That's the first time that's ever happened. Exactly.
Mind the gap.
Jeff Pedder, take a moment, buddy. Enjoy that. That's good things. I wonder, I know it's very early days, but I wonder if Nuno at Spurs becomes one of those managers where it's you can put up with it when the results come, but if the results don't come, how long before someone calls for his head? Just putting it out there, not saying that I've seen specifically that, because that's performing well. But I mean, their numbers are quite extreme considering they haven't conceded a goal. I think, Oscar. Yeah, that's exactly right. They are the only team that has not conceded a goal so far this season. Wow. What's their unexpected goals allowed? Sound of the underground. Let me pull up FBref. By XGA, they are somewhere in the middle. Somewhere in the middle. Brilliant. I'm not going to count. It's literally the middle 3. of the middle. 3.9. They're meant to have conceded, quote unquote, as much as you can. 3.9 goals, and they've conceded none, with a defence of Dyer, Sanchez. Anyway. Mad. Good things. Clearly good vibes. Playing against Watford. I think your concern about things deteriorating, though, is exactly right. Because it was only a year ago that everyone was talking about, oh, Kane and Son, the greatest midfield and striker pairing in the history of the league. They're going to score 700 goals this year. Like, and then Mourinho was fired by the end of the year. So like things can turn around real fucking fast over there.
Yeah, true. It was a weird one as well because it really started mile a minute. It was end to end stuff immediately, and I think that's why Kane, certainly his numbers might seem a bit anonymous there, because it was fast paced, and you know the guy's had a break obviously and hasn't trained that much because he hasn't turned up. So it's going to take Kane a couple of games to get back into it.
And even at peak fitness, like Kane in a fast game is not going to work out as well as Kane in a slow game.
Yeah.
Like that's why Kane works in City, but not as well in other clubs, because just like physical limitations on his body.
Yeah, it'll be interesting though because the attacks seem to have some pace and running about it. I mean, so I'm really pleased Ali's sort of back into the fold because I like him as a player. I really like him as a player, and
he's fun.
He's dynamic, you know. And it was fun to watch Son and Ali running off each other. Reguilon was getting involved as well. It was all good stuff, you know. It was just the fact that Kane was a bit of the statue around which it was all happening because he's just not up to pace yet. And as you say, he's not the paciest player anyway, you know. So it'll be interesting to see how it develops.
Do you think maybe there's an element, not to make it too much about the Kane saga as well, because I think it's not necessary at this point. We kind of have to move on at some point. And Nuno obviously did a really good job of working with that when everything was going on. And obviously he has to come into a new squad and build a bit of unity and a bit of teamwork. And you're seeing that. And maybe then there's an element of Kane, not consciously, but you know, him being a little bit ostracised from that, perhaps, just because players aren't used to him being there, or he doesn't feel quite at ease with kind of what happened, and maybe feels a bit like he's, you know, got his tail between his legs, potentially.
Well, his big fucking announcement was also very, very carefully and specifically worded to, I'm staying this summer. Like, he didn't even say, I'm staying this season. He was like, I'm staying for the next 3 days until the window's closed. And then I guess in January we'll revisit this conversation. So yeah, I mean, I could definitely see why, like, behind the scenes, we don't know this. This is obviously pure speculation, but I could definitely see behind the scenes, like, some of the other players, everybody just kind of feeling awkward about it because it's like he's got one foot out the door. But let's move on then to our last game that we're going to talk about, and that is the other candidate for Burnley of the week, but I felt that it would have been a bit churlish not to give it to Chelsea here out of my homerism bias, but...
Burnley of the week!
There you go. We had Wolves 0, Manchester United 1. Wolves 1.8 to United's 0.6, according to the FBref XG scoreline. Fucking United suck, man. No, they don't. Sancho started here, which was scary. I was genuinely scared when I saw Sancho in the starting lineup, and then they were not good. And like, if Wolves could finish even a fucking little bit, their Wolves are the
even
new
if they
Brighton
could
this
just
year.
finish a starter. Just, you know what I mean? Like a side dish. You don't even need to finish the whole meal yet, but what the hell, man?
Traore looked good, though. The beefy boy. Those thighs, man. Those thighs really stand out when he's running around.
The oily Adonis. Oh, so good.
Imagine if he worked out. Just imagine how attractive he would be if he worked out. Just pure natural genetics, that man.
Yeah.
Right?
The glutes on him. Oh. Yeah. He makes me have feelings.
Lots of them in very different places.
Very, very much an individual quality shines through. And, you know, foul in the build-up that wasn't given for some reason, or United didn't play it out when Wolves had done similar for a United injury earlier in the game that leads to Mason Greenwood being on absolute fire.
Mr. XG himself. Wasn't even that good of a shot. Fucking Wolves keeper should have saved that. It was at a hard angle, so like admittedly it was good to get it on target.
No, you're right. It was pretty poor. He should have saved it, definitely. I'm not even sure it was necessarily a shot, was it? It just seemed...
the pace it was hit with made me think it was a shot.
I wasn't sure. He had a little look across goal before he did it. I wasn't sure, but...
Fair enough. It is Mason Greenwood, so you can never tell either way. He just accidentally scores all the time. He's tying his shoelaces and he gets a goal.
Yeah. I mean, you say that about his keeper, but, you know, XG differential for 90, Jose Sar's the 5th best keeper in the league. I know it's not saying much at this early stage, but considering they've lost 3 games...
Yeah.
Oh, blimey.
You know, That's quite good. And I just think it's got to be that something needs to click. And I wonder if that's, them changing after Nuno, because we see how Nuno is playing at Spurs. And there was a lot of that. They had to play that way last year because they didn't have Jimenez, Fabio Silva, Podence, who they did have up front just weren't clicking in that way and they weren't scoring goals. And it does very much seem like Bruno Lage wants to play that way. He wants to play fast. Thank God he's got the fastest man in the world, able to just ghost past anyone. He did make Luke Shaw his pitch a couple of times. I did say that, so called that one.
Bad vibes. Luke Shaw and bad vibes.
Luke Shaw, no vibes. They need a goal, and I'm surprised that the same criticisms are not thrown at them as were thrown at my team, obviously before this week and Vieira, because it's a similar situation. New manager comes in, needs to change around from not necessarily particularly bad or toxic situations, but needs to bring something new in, right? And so, Wolves have had Jimenez back. He hasn't looked quite the same player as what he was before. I remember him as being quite a ruthless finisher, and you just wonder how much the injury that he had, which was, a terrible one, a potentially career-ending one, how much that is still playing on his mind at sometimes, whether he's just having that extra half a second of hesitation that's leading to him not quite getting to the ball and not quite being able to control it, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. This, to me, seems like one of those situations where even people who are anti-stats intuit that XG is a thing and exists. One of those like, oh, they had the better run of play, they should have won, the chances didn't go their way or whatever. Because like, I think you ask like, why aren't people talking about Wolves like they were about Palace and all that? Like, Wolves have put up 4.3 XG. That's only 0.3 less than Chelsea, and that's more than Tottenham. Like, Wolves are creating stuff, and people can see that, even if they don't know in their heads, like, oh, this is what XG means, this is a metric, they have 4.3 of it. Like, you can not know anything about XG, and you can still understand that, like, Wolves have done enough to have scored a bunch of goals here, and they just haven't. Whereas Palace, like, I'm not trying to shit on your team, but, like, they're not generating chances to that rate, right? Like, Palace are nowhere near that level of XG. And so I do think that that's part of the narrative here. Yeah,
but more goals and points, mate. So, you know what I mean?
Fair enough.
Mainstream media as well is very reticent still about XG. It comes in and they use it. A lot of them are using very basic models as well. Like the match of the day model had, for example, Palace at like 2 XG in that game. Understat has us at like 1.7, and FBref, which I'm sad to say we're using is the most reliable one this year, was what, like 0.7, 0.8?
Yeah, 0.7, exactly.
Yeah, so I'm a bit annoyed at that because I wanted to, at least win the XG battle, but, I take points. So I don't know if there is that. For me, it may be my bias. I just think it's the lazy comparison with Frank de Boer previously. But anyway, I don't want to go back to talking about my team. You wonder if this will be another Brighton situation where they don't catch a break, and this is just the tale of what their season's going to be, or if some teams are about to have the absolute hammer put down on them.
To what extent do we think this is a Jimmy thing, a Raul Jimenez just being back from having a broken skull, fractured skull? He just came back. He's wearing that weird headband, which I'm assuming is skull-related, because it looks too thick to just be padded. Like a Yeah, it's like padded, exactly. And, I remember with Czech, I could be projecting, like, this could be pure narrative. I don't have any data to back this up, but he seems hesitant to me to be, like, really getting into some battles, especially header battles, for obvious reasons. And I remember when Czech came back from his fractured skull, he never looked the same coming for crosses ever again. Like, that just became a weak point in his game for the rest of his career. And I wonder if part of this is, like, Raul Jimenez. Like, he is an amazing striker, and he was their talisman for a long time, but coming back from a fractured skull is a scary thing. And, like, if he's not putting the chances away, but he is their striker, then, like, that's obviously going to go a long way towards their XG being...
It's a combination of, Jimenez's last full season with Wolves, he was involved in 23 of their 51 goals. So, nearly 50%. And he also had Diogo Jota playing for Wolves at that time, who we've seen since he's gone on to Liverpool, just being so creative as well. So they lost their main avenue of goals and creativity. So I think it's got to take time. Their fixture run is about as good as you can get for what they need if they are going to lay the smackdown on teams, because they've got Watford, Brentford, Southampton, Newcastle, Villa, then Leeds, Everton, Palace, West Ham, Norwich, Burnley, and then it's not till the 4th of December and they play Liverpool that they've got a top 4 team. So what's that, 11 games in a row?
So that's where all your good fixtures went. Now we know. We found them.
So they fell down the back of the sofa. Oh, we found them. So, if it's going to happen for them, it's going to be soon.
If Traore can just get fucking anything of an end product, like just anything, he would be Ballon d'Or category. Like, dude, he does these amazing runs. I don't want to get stuck on this. We should move on very soon. But fuck, like how many times does he make a run, a dribble, a speed, and then he just boots it into the second level of the stands as the last thing?
He's getting better because he's realised that he's fast enough that he can get through in such little space that he doesn't need to play those crosses. He can just run round the man and ghost into the box. And so he's creating those chances. Just Jimenez, someone else needs to be in there. I think Wolves need to get a bit more aggressive into the box so that literally when he is playing that pass, there are just more people that even if he can't aim, there's just a higher percentage chance of it being someone wearing old gold rather than a defender in there. So, yeah, it's interesting. Anything to say about United?
No, they weren't that good. That's it. Sancho made his debut, and he wasn't as good as I was afraid he would be, but it's one game, so, who knows?
I think he'll probably have the same as Havertz, take a little bit of time to get going. And
that makes sense. That would make sense to me, yeah. But, yeah, that's it for the football, really, which I think means that we will be covering the transfer window and your listener questions next week in our special international break episode, which I think pretty much means it's time for just go straight to the quiz, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, maybe, but the real quiz is apparently what I said about Palace getting odds on Edouard. He's got his medical book tomorrow, so good times. Which means it's time for... quiz. This week brought to you by...
Bravo, sir. Very nice.
Elephant-shaped musical piano and metal xylophone. Right, gentlemen, it is straight question and answer for this week as I pick up my questions. Apologies, I completely forgot I had to do it. So banged this one out today. So, standard question and answer. Some of the answers you've already achieved during this podcast, so congratulations. Please score yourselves honestly and realise what's going on. So, we will start with a really simple question. Who is the top scorer in the Premier League so far this season after 3 game weeks? Bonus point for goals. Number of goals. Why not? Question 2. Who has the most assists and how many?
Okay.
Question 3. Which goalkeeper has the most clean sheets and how many?
We are, by the way, listeners, me and Ian are still here. We're just very much concentrating on our answers.
Yeah, no, he'll just edit out the silence. It's fine.
Yeah, I know, but neither of us has said anything in a while, so it's
Ian, put a bed in for the quiz. Can we put a beds in for the quiz?
Yeah, well, I can do it now.
The advert one, yeah, because we're not getting sponsored again anytime soon.
Thanks for not using our code, dickheads.
MOP20 in the store. Question 4. 4 goalkeepers are tied for the most saves this season. Can you name those 4 goalkeepers and how many saves have they made? Point for each goalkeeper and a point for the closest to the saves.
That assumes that I know the name of 4 goalkeepers.
I like this music. It's almost like a Grand Theft Auto loading screen. Question 5. 2 teams have scored 0 goals. Can you name them? You should be able to. And
for a bonus point, how many goals have they scored? I think I can get that one
Sure,
right.
Why not? Yep.
Yeah.
Question 6 is a mini bluffer.
Oh my god.
Hey.
Oh, so a mini one-shot bluffer. Bid between you really quickly. 7 teams in the league are currently unbeaten. How many can you name, Oscar?
4.
5.
Oh, Oscar, can you go 6?
Maybe, but I don't think Ian can do 5, so I'll let him take it because I really need some points in this trivia this year. I'm not doing well, so.
Ian, let's have your answers and you'll get a point right away.
Okay, I went 5, didn't I? So Tottenham,
Ding.
West Ham,
Ding.
Chelsea,
Ding.
Liverpool,
Ding.
and Man United.
Ding. Well done. Very
Very
well done. So Oscar gets 0 points for that question. Ian gets 1. Other 2 teams you were missing were Everton and Brentford.
Oh, blimey. Okay.
Mighty Brentford. Yeah, I would have had them. That would have been the 6th one.
Oh, I didn't think of them. Bloody hell, yeah.
Yeah, win and 2 draws, I believe. Question, the next one. Which team is the overperforming their XG the most?
Overperforming their XG the most.
Overperforming their XG the most. Do you want to do a point for how close to the actual number of overperformance you are? Yeah, go on then. Give us that then as well. Who is the most underperforming for their XG? Who is underperforming their XG the most? And how much XG have they generated?
Okay.
Question 9. Yeah.
Yep.
Who is overperforming their expected goals allowed the most? So that is who has conceded the least goals versus their expected goals allowed. And then the last one is which team has the worst defence and what is the difference between their expected goals allowed and actual goals allowed.
God, it's tough, man.
The numbers are obviously just closest for all of them, so one of you will get a point or both of you can. Answers! The current Premier League top scorer is, of course, Mikhail Dirty Dancing Antonio.
Yes.
With 4 goals. 4 goals.
I said 5.
Ian, what did you say?
Antonio and 4. Fantasy football legend.
So,
Fuck's sake.
bonus point goes to Ian. 2 for Ian, 1 for Oscar there. Who has the most assists? It is Paul Pogba, and he has 5.
Oh, obviously. Duh.
Of course it is.
Has 5. 4 in the first game.
I said
and
5. Do I get the bonus point for saying 5, even if it's the wrong player?
Yeah. Ian, did you say 5?
I didn't get either of them. I actually went Antonio again because I thought he'd had a few assists, but I totally forgot about Pogba's 4.
I believe Antonio's had 3 assists.
That's what I had. Okay, fine. Ugh.
I went for Grealish, which I know is wrong.
Why'd you do it to yourself? Most clean sheets was, of course, Hugo Lloris, and he has 3.
Yep.
Maths, you should have both got that, surely.
Yep, I
Brilliant.
did get both of those.
Right, Oscar, name your 4 goalkeepers.
I said Bernd Leno, Vincent Guaita, Edouard Mendy, and someone named Meslier, who I know from Fantrax.
So you got 1 out of 4 correct, which is
Yay!
Ilian.
And I said 10 saves. 10 saves.
It was 11, so let's see what Ian's got. Ian, who are your goalkeepers?
So I had Meslier,
1,
Lloris,
2,
De Gea,
no,
and Mendy,
no.
So I had 2 then, and I only got 9 saves.
So bonus point then to Oscar, but Ian gets 2 for his goalkeepers. They were Hugo Lloris, Ilian Meslier, Nick Pope of Burnley, and Jose Sarr of Wolves.
Shit, you mentioned him as well.
Some of those are people I've heard of.
And it was 11 saves, 11. Teams that have scored 0 goals, of course, Wolves and Arsenal. 2 points, surely.
Yep,
The next question was the bluffer.
Excuse
that was
me. 3 points because I also put down that they scored 0 goals for the bonus.
Okay,
I will,
yeah, 3
I will be
points
taking
each.
that 3rd point. Thank you very much.
Sure, no worries. Ian, you've got the 3rd point as well. Ian then obviously got the point for the bluffer. The team that is most overperforming their XG is West Ham United. And then what did I ask for? The difference. I think I asked for the difference, didn't I? They are overperforming.
I said they're +4.
You said +4?
Yeah.
Ian, what did you say?
Well, I said Man United, but +2.
Oh, well, Oscar gets double points then because it's West Ham and they are overperforming by 4.
Oof.
I did not say West Ham, for the record, to be clear. I said Man City. I said +4, but I didn't say Man City. See, I'm getting all the numbers points.
Okay. I really should listen to what you're saying.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Anyway, underperforming their XG was, of course, Wolves. Wolves is the answer there. And they are supposed to have scored 4.3 goals.
Oh,
So,
nailed it.
Ian, what have you got?
I said Wolves and 4.5.
Oh,
And-
that's rough.
Oscar?
Wolves 4.3. I'll even hold it up to my camera.
Motherfucker. Oh,
Brilliant. So-
Well played, mate.
2 points to Oscar, 1 point to Ian. Overperforming their expected goals allowed. So the best defence is Tottenham. They are supposed to have conceded 3.9 XGA.
I said 4.1.
And Ian?
Well, I think you win on both counts because I went Man United and I said they should have scored. Should have let in 5. That's poor. Yeah.
Okay,
I think you win on both counts.
2 points to Oscar, no points to Stimson there. And which team is most underperforming or has the worst defence? And that is Norwich City. And they are underperforming by 4.
I said -3.
I said -3 as well, and I had Wolves.
And you had Wolves.
Yeah, at that point, my mind had turned to mush. I was
Okay,
just
so you both
things.
get 1 point for -3. So tot up your scores. Oscar, what did you get?
15.
Oh, it's a resounding victory. I got 12.
Oh, Ian, play Oscar's music.
Oh, I thought we were going to switch it to New York, New York. I fucking hate Bruce Springsteen.
Sorry, yeah.
Every
We
time
changed
Bruce
it.
Springsteen.
He's even got a button for it.
I did have it. Sorry, mate.
Hey, New York! Fuck yeah. And it was 16 points, by the way, not 15. I counted wrong.
Because you got him at that point for 0. Congratulations,
Yeah, exactly.
Oscar.
That's right.
He has broken his duck, and he is now off the mark and it's 2-1 to Stimson in the quiz. We'll have another one.
I'm pretty sure I won the quiz last week. Thank you very much.
Oh,
by
just because I was a
default.
no-show. Come on.
This is your no-show.
I don't know if I have the energy to keep this up. Not going to lie.
Fair enough.
I know we were saying about it earlier, but I don't think I can commit to it. Admin. So we'll have another quiz next week. We won't discuss fixtures because it's international break. Boo. But next week we will be back discussing the transfer window, who we think won it, who we think lost it, who's kind of built up quite a good one, and what is the other one? Oh, questions, listener questions from you, a little bit of a mailbag. We've got a few saved up. So say goodbye, Mr. Oscar Puente.
Goodbye.
Say goodbye, losing to West Brom, Ian Stimson.
Oh, cheers. Yeah, bye.
And thanks as ever to our Patreons and specifically our producers Nate Whittam and Johnny Worthington. Join us, patreon.com/Miles Offside Pod. Bye bye.